Have you ever wondered who was the man behind the teachings of Buddhism and how it all began? This tale takes us back to around 563 before the Common Era in a serene place called Lumbini, nestled in what is present-day Nepal. Here, a baby boy was born into royalty, named Siddhartha Gautama. The air was filled with joy and anticipation as the birth of the prince was accompanied by prophecies about his future. It was foretold that this child was destined for greatness, either as a universal monarch or as a spiritual leader, a Buddha, the enlightened one. Siddhartha grew up enveloped in the opulence of his royal status, his life marked by comfort and privilege. His father, the king, anxious to keep him away from the religious path, sheltered him from the harsh realities of the world. Siddhartha was enclosed within the palace walls where suffering was kept at bay, and only pleasures of the world were at his fingertips. However, the world outside the palace was not all sunshine and roses, and Siddhartha was about to discover this. The turning point in his life came in the form of the four sights: an old man, a sick person, a dead body, and a wandering ascetic. Each of these sights was a stark revelation to the young prince, unveiling the harsh realities of old age, sickness, death, and the pursuit of spiritual peace. This was a profound awakening for Siddhartha. The bubble of his sheltered life had been pricked, leaving him deeply moved and thoughtful. He couldn't ignore the suffering he had witnessed and the impermanence of worldly pleasures. His heart was stirred by a deep desire to seek answers to life's suffering, to find a path to true peace and happiness. And so a prince left his palace, seeking the answers to life's suffering, stepping on a path that would lead him to become the Buddha. This was just the beginning of a journey that would transform not only his life, but the lives of millions across the world. What happens when a man leaves everything behind in search of truth? This is the question that Siddhartha Gautama, who we now know as Buddha, asked himself as he embarked on a journey of self-discovery. Siddhartha, born into a life of privilege and comfort as a prince, found himself disillusioned with the world he inhabited. He was unsettled by the suffering he witnessed outside the confines of his royal palace. So, he chose to leave it all behind: his riches, his family, his status, in pursuit of ultimate truth and liberation. In his quest, Siddhartha adopted an ascetic life, denying himself of all worldly pleasures and comforts. He believed that by subjecting his body to extreme hardships, he could transcend the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. But even this extreme path did not bring him the enlightenment he sought. It was under the shelter of the Bodhi tree, after years of rigorous ascetic practices, that Siddhartha came to a profound realization. He discovered the middle way, a path of moderation away from the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. This was the path to enlightenment. The middle way led Siddhartha to the comprehension of the Four Noble Truths. These truths, fundamental to Buddhism, are the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, and the truth of the path leading to the end of suffering. It was in this moment of realization that Siddhartha attained enlightenment and became the Buddha. This enlightenment was not just an individual achievement. Buddha saw it as a universal truth, a wisdom to be shared with the world. He decided to spend the rest of his life teaching others about the middle way and the Four Noble Truths, guiding them towards liberation from the cycle of suffering. The man, once a prince, had now become the Buddha, the enlightened one, ready to share his wisdom with the world. What did the Buddha teach after his enlightenment, and why does it resonate with millions even today? The teachings of Buddha revolve around understanding and alleviating human suffering. At the heart of his teachings are the Four Noble Truths. These truths are profound observations about the nature of human existence. The first truth acknowledges the presence of suffering, or dukkha. It's a truth we all experience: the pain of birth, aging, illness, and death. The second truth identifies the cause of suffering, which Buddha attributed to desire or craving, known as tanha. This isn't just about wanting material possessions. It's about our incessant desire for things to be different than they are. The third truth brings hope. It proposes that it's possible to end this suffering by eliminating these cravings. And the fourth truth, it provides a practical method to achieve this end. This is where the Eightfold Path comes in. The Eightfold Path is a guide to ethical and mindful living leading to the cessation of suffering. It includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Following this path is not about blind faith, but about understanding and practice. It's about living a life of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. And the ultimate goal of all these teachings? That's nirvana, a state of ultimate peace and liberation. Nirvana is the extinguishing of the fires of desire, hatred, and ignorance. It's a state of complete liberation, peace, and detachment from all worldly cravings and aversions. The teachings of Buddha remain relevant even today because they address fundamental human experiences, suffering, and the quest for happiness. They provide a practical and accessible path towards understanding our suffering and overcoming it. The Buddha's teachings provide a path not just to understand suffering, but to overcome it, leading to a state of ultimate peace and liberation, nirvana. How did the teachings of a lone monk from ancient India spread across the world? This question takes us on a fascinating journey, beginning with the significant role played by Emperor Ashoka. Ashoka, the Mauryan emperor in the 3rd century BCE, was initially known for his brutal conquests. However, after witnessing the devastation and suffering caused by his Kalinga War, he experienced a profound change of heart. He embraced Buddhism, trading his sword for the teachings of peace and compassion. Ashoka then made it his mission to disseminate the teachings of Buddha far and wide. He erected pillars and rock edicts across his kingdom, inscribing them with Buddhist principles. He sent emissaries to neighboring kingdoms and even as far as Greece and Egypt, making Buddhism an international discourse for the first time. But the spread of Buddhism didn't stop with Ashoka. As centuries passed, different interpretations of Buddha's teachings led to the formation of various Buddhist schools. The Theravada school, also known as the School of the Elders, took root primarily in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. It emphasized individual enlightenment through rigorous personal effort. On the other hand, the Mahayana school, often referred to as the Great Vehicle, emerged in northern India. It spread to China, Korea, and Japan, emphasizing the ideal of the bodhisattva, a being who seeks enlightenment not just for oneself but for the benefit of all sentient beings. The Vajrayana school, also known as Tantric or Tibetan Buddhism, arose later in the Himalayan region. This school introduced unique practices such as deity yoga and guru devotion, which caught the imagination of the people, leading to its widespread adoption in Tibet and Mongolia. Ultimately, the teachings of Buddha, born from a single voice under a Bodhi tree, evolved into multiple schools of thought. These schools resonated with different cultures, resulting in a rich tapestry of practices and philosophies that continue to inspire millions around the world. From a single voice under a Bodhi tree, Buddhism had now become a symphony of wisdom resonating across continents. What relevance does Buddhism hold in our hectic modern lives? As we navigate through the 21st century, we find ourselves in a world that is both breathtakingly advanced and paradoxically stressful. Amid the chaos and disquiet, Buddhism offers a beacon of tranquility, its principles resonating with millions regardless of their religious affiliations. Buddhism appeals to many in today's world because it speaks directly to our human condition. It provides a pathway to understanding ourselves and our place in the cosmos, emphasizing mindfulness, compassion, and inner peace. These are not just abstract concepts, but practical tools that can be harnessed to improve our daily lives. Mindfulness, for instance, is an invitation to be present, to live in the moment. It's a simple yet profound concept that counteracts our constant preoccupation with the past or the future. By practicing mindfulness, we can find joy in the ordinary and mundane, transforming our perception of life. Compassion, another cornerstone of Buddhism, encourages us to cultivate empathy and kindness not just towards others, but also towards ourselves. In a world that often prioritizes competition and individualism, the Buddhist ethos of compassion fosters a sense of interconnectedness, reminding us of our shared humanity. Then there's the quest for inner peace, a universal pursuit that transcends religious boundaries. Buddhism offers a roadmap to this coveted state, guiding us to let go of our attachments and desires, the root causes of our suffering. Many people incorporate these Buddhist principles into their lives without necessarily converting to Buddhism. They meditate, practice mindfulness, and strive to live compassionately, drawing on Buddhist wisdom to navigate the complexities of modern life. In essence, Buddhism is more than a religion. It's a way of life, a philosophy that holds enduring relevance in our contemporary world. Its teachings resonate with our innate desire for peace, contentment, and understanding. Whether you follow Buddhism as a religion or not, its timeless wisdom can guide us towards a life of peace and fulfillment. Are you keen to explore more about Buddhism and its profound teachings? If this video has piqued your interest, we encourage you to delve deeper. Start by subscribing to our channel. We regularly post content that delves into the wisdom of various philosophies and religions. By liking this video, you help us spread this wisdom to more seekers like you. Remember, every journey starts with a single step. Practicing mindfulness, cultivating compassion, or initiating a meditation routine could be your first step towards embracing the Buddhist way of life. You don't need to change your religion to benefit from these teachings. They are universal truths that can add value to anyone's life. So why wait? Start your journey today and join our community of seekers. Together, let's explore the wisdom of Buddhism and beyond. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay mindful,